what I wanted to ask, John, just a brief your views on four things. Number one is your conception of clan. Like, what is this clan that we are talking? We say that Khasi society is a clan-based society. What do we mean by that? Second thing is this idea of clan in relation to women. So many people say we trace our lineage from the woman, from our mother, that the woman owns, the woman is the one who, whatever. And there's a role of men there. But generally, the Khasi society is very woman centric or woman centered as a clan based society. So the second concept is the idea of woman. Like, how is woman placed within the Khasi society? The third concept is land. Like, how did the Khasi society organize land, and the types of land, how the land is organized. And finally, the fourth concept is institutions. How does the Federation of Khasi States in the Himas, how are Himas organizing this idea of land, woman, and the notion of clan? So clan, woman, land, and the institution, which now we are talking in terms of the Himas. So one gets to know that not all Himas within the Federation have same types of, let's say, clan or even woman or even land kind of organization. Like if you go to the Nongport side, it's different. If you go to Shela side, it's different. When you come to Khairim and Millim, it's a little bit similar. So from your experience of having traveled and seen so many things, this idea of Khasi society understood around clan, woman, land, and institutions. I was just thinking we can get your reflections on this, Ken, based on your experience, and even detailed data is also if possible, because you've seen many of this.
So you see, that's a very good points that you've raised. Clans, I think we have no. If you go through history, even the records. I just seeing a little bit about. I recall I saw many years ago. The documentary on Julius Caesar, right? One of the greatest generals in ancient history. Now, according to that documentary, he said when he was, he was just some kind of one of those foot soldiers there, within the counselor they had, in Rome. So when he introduced himself, right, he introduced himself as being the son of so and so, the clan, and that person was also belonging to some son of, descendants from Venus, right? So when you look at that ancient civilization, the Roman civilization also, they trace their ancestry. They like to emphasize their introduction of their name of themselves as belonging to the house of so and so. Similarly, with all subsequent, Then if you come to the natives, right, of North America, they also have this very similar kind of introduction. When you see, you say, I'm so and so, my belonging to my father's clan is so and so, and my mother's clan is so and so. They introduce their clans. Even the First Nations, the natives of North America. So when you look in South Africa again, and South Africa is where, the DNA is now proving, the scientific DNA is proving that even the Khasi is generated from South Africa, from Africa. So these people also are clan-based. The difference is, I don't know, they've adopted a system where they have put somebody who would be a neutral person to be the chief, and how or who would be the chief, which clan. So they had different narrations on that. I've just encountered again, then coming back, coming to the Khasis here, we find the clans were the dominant actors in the whole institution. So originally in the Khasis, we had what they used to narrate. Khandai Ba'rante, they were the warriors. Khandai Ba'rante. Supposedly the warriors of the Khasis who led, who fought. And I recall my late father, Professor Martin Narayan Majau, saying that there was a field in Riboy on the way to Mahati. These are oral narrations, that the Majau clan, right, in their war with the, I don't know who, they said with the Jaintia or Assam, those kings of that time. So around 400, according to his narration to me, and he was informed by some, elders, that 400 Majau warrior clans were massacred in a particular area in Riboy. So they were the prominent, warriors of that time. And oral history about how there is one theory which my father had narrated at that time, which he learned from those people in Riboy, Mahati area, very elderly people. They said that since many wars were happening in those days, so if 400 Majau clans were to be massacred, lost a battle, and taking the clan from the father's side, then that clan would end there, right? So the idea was, okay, that is one school of thought which came out from my late father's narration to me, that they decided that the clan should remain with the women because men would often go for war and would not return back. So the clan had to continue. The clan had to, think. So this is one school of thought as to how the Khasis adopted a system where they would take their clan name from the women. So from that war, where the 400 Majaus were massacred, they said that plundering and this and that, sometimes all these conquerors would come. And in Khasi, they said, there was one child who was wrapped in a cloth and hidden in the mud under the some place. And that's how the title clan of Mukti Hapokti, was wrapped in mud and protected, hidden in view of these kind of wars that took place in those days. Something like the Viking wars, Mukti. Then there were, if I'm not mistaken, around 6 or 7 clans that were renamed from the Majaus in the Riboy area. Sinkali, Ramde, Mukti, Salyang, So they would call Bakhal, they would call cousins to you. Anybody would just think, oh, your father is Majau, so we are all the offsprings from that, offshoots of those sub-clans from that. So now we know the clans have organized themselves. Basyamoy, Majau, Kurba, they have a massive kind of a clan gathering of all these people to acquaint themselves, to remind themselves that we are blood related. So this clan kinship, It's a very unique thing. And then we have not yet done. We have not yet done. We are yet to do. I mean, actually, no research has yet been done. Except I think I saw one scholar quite some time ago writing about clanship, and her focus was. I think I shared the document with you once. Her focus was on the interns. Where we would, when cremation has happened, each clan had a specific place to go and keep their bones. So, in fact, just a few days ago, my cousin's, my wife's cousin's father passed away suddenly. So we had to go there and all that. And then they said, okay, they have the cremation here in Shillong, but they will have to go and take the bones to Nongjiri, they say in Khasi. So each clan is a lasso clan. So each clan, I'm trying to find out, I don't know anymore about my own clan. We should have had, because we are also mantris of Hima Mauflang. Similarly, like you, Rani from Pamsangut, would have been, there would have been a place where we would all have to be, because the definition is, and in that sacred place, for example, my cousin's father, my wife's cousin's father who passed away, he's a lasso. So only a lasso can be kept in that place. Or I know for a fact, Lingdo Pungrop, the chief elder, clan elder of Right Nongkrem. So when he passed away, the earlier one, about 4 or 5 years ago, so I attended his cremation, and it was held inside a sacred forest. And I had requested them at that time to conduct a video recording of all the rituals that they did. And because he himself had taken us along with the US some American official who had come for a visit here. And he took us first. When you enter a sacred forest, you go pay your obeisance, make a prayer, give some offerings. So he carried tea, he carried some rice, he carried some milk, bread, kwai, the betel nut. And he did also put some money, 50 paise, the coins, as a mark of respect, as a mark of, And whenever you walk inside a sacred forest, he told us that we have to first go to because that was a clan forest. You'd have to go, he'd have to seek the intervention of his elders to allow us to peacefully walk into that ecosystem. So we asked him, okay, so what happens here? There were some big stones where he said, this is where all my ancestors were, they've been placed here after the cremation. And he said, for me also, they will do the same. So it has happened. I've seen it with my own eyes. And so we have not yet collected that aspect as to how many of the clans are still, because the process of evangelization, now we have funerals, cemetery, things like that. So that is one part of the indigenous thing. And I don't know where all in the world do they have such similar practices. I'm sure they'll have the same. Those who are still, very strong in their roots. So this is another aspect. And it has a relevance to the clan in the sense that their Khasi belief is that you go back to where you came from, you go back to your, Bamkwai, Aduar Blade, so you go and have, and you are in a different place with your ancestors. So not keeping them in the same place, in a sacred place, is sacrilege to that clan, So not much has been studied on this aspect also. So I just asked him, okay, what about your wife? Would she be coming here? He said, no, that'll be taboo. She would have to be done in her own place. Well, I'm not sure. I don't know whether they have it or not. But presently today, a number of clans, they say, we don't know about it, we don't have it. Although they could still be in the traditional faith. They have no idea where it is. So, but that is still prevalent today in a number of clans. So, rituals during your cremation, during war, they adopted the system of leaving the clan name behind so that the clan would not, suffer, would not just disappear, the name. I mean, these are all oral histories that have been narrated. So clan was a very important thing. Today, when you look at Shillong city, the records show that there were 4-5 major clans who own these lands. The Shillong city, if you go to the records of 200 years ago and maybe 200, 250 years ago, even today, right? There's dispute over ownership in the city of Shillong by the major clans of Hima Shillong, which is Nongklau clan, Sotun clan, in the Lumparing, Upper Shillong, this Lawan side, Lasotun, Kharkongor clan, Thangkiu clan, the Basan of Nokse, Thangkiu. So these are major clans who own land, and to the effect that even big major officers of the government of India have had to buy the land from them, right? And the Nongklau clan is still in dispute. The main center, the Rajbhavan, the Secretariat, the High Court, the entire, Brabza, Yampu, this, according to documents, was owned by the Nongklau clan, which was taken by the British on a 99-year lease, to which government, subsequent, succeeding governments in the transitional period, then claimed that it was a gift. So anyway, technicalities apart, the fact remains that these clans own the land. So clans, land, the way of life, the way of belief was one. It was one integral part of a society, including their formation of these sacred forests. Some still continue the rituals, some don't continue the rituals. So as you're aware, where you had also yourself witnessed Hima Linyong, you see the clan there, Rantatiang, who's the chief elder there, they still continue the rituals with a forest once a year during the month of October. And, so clan, the rituals, the belief, the faith, the indigenous faith, and the land is one integral part. The institution that you also wanted to know is also an integral part, is formed by these clans, right? So this institution would not be in existence without the clans. That's the bottom line, who make up the council of the chief, or the council of the CM, or the cabinet of the Lingdo, if I were to use the modern political terminology of the word cabinet. So you have the Lingdo, who's like the prime minister, he has a cabinet, or the CM, who's like a prime minister, he has a cabinet, and his cabinet members comprise of representatives, authorized representatives of these clans. Mostly made up of men. So when we go again, and then the other point that you raise about women's role, why we took the clan. So
John, before we go to this second part, any data you have about number of clans, because there's a lot of debates and all of that concerning.
So thank you for that. So now the number of clans so far, there is only a book compiled by Ba Spiton Rakor, noted author, Khasi author. So he's the only person who has brought out a compilation of the name of clans. But what he has done is So according to his book, there are 3,363, I think. 3,363 or 69 clans. But when I talked to him, he said, Bajan, I've compiled the name of the clans in accordance with the, because I found my own clan. He seems to have written it twice. While in this city, we may say Khasi, right? Here we all Khasi. If you go to my Hima, in my village, there's a little bit of a twist in the dialect. So they say Karshiyung, Karshiyung. So he even wrote that also. So that spelling would be a little slightly different. Karshiyung, Karshiyung. In the village they'll say Karshiyung. There's a dialect, a little bit of a dialect. So like that means if he has picked up 2-3 dialect of the same clan, so that 3,300 something, 69 or 63 would further come down. Then we also have he just passed away recently, a very prominent pastor, Reverend Kharkungor, and he brought out a book. And according to his book, there were around 5,000 clans, So District Council today has, you remember our little initiative where, we're thankful to your contribution. We started that football kur, it's a football made up of the clans, strictly representing the clan. The football team represented a clan. And it was quite a initiative, innovative initiative to trigger, to figure out whether these clans, how organized are they, how, what is, and I wanted some documentation. So whoever participated had to bring a copy, if they had at all, history, data of whatever. So I have at least a compilation of whatever, some gave a 2-page write-up, some gave books which their clans have brought out. So that's also something which we can compile and reproduce verbatim, because based on whatever they have given us. So around 40, I think around 40 clans have submitted their kind of whatever write-up, historical write-up about their own clans. It was very encouraging in the sense that the youth were more interested in the football and the prize, but they had to comply to certain terms, which is, figure out who's your clan elder, which a lot of them had no idea because they're all scattered in various places. And so slowly it got organized. So that led to some more discussions at the larger context, when another prominent politician, late H.S. Shila, then he initiated something on a clan, organization of the clans. They held a meeting. They organized themselves. So they've got a group of almost around, I think around more than 150 clan representatives now. They have a WhatsApp group now. Then now the district council has come up with a clan bill, right? Which will then help in the documentation of the clans, right? So the district council has come out with a clan bill. I believe it is at a very final stage, which will set the rules, the procedure. It'll get it organized. It's quite this part of the codification. This should have been done right away when the district council came into existence. But sadly, it is coming up now only. Anyway, better late than never. So that is what they're doing right now. Because in recent years, we've also had disputes in the courts relating to, the right to be the representative in the King's Council, in the Siem or the Lingdo or the Doloi or the Sardar, wherever they have the clans. All of them have the clans. So when there's a vacancy, then there has to be a renomination of the representative of the clan. So in sometimes, not all the time, there are disputes that it is from this clan and this clan. The what would they call it? The ancestry of the womb from where that one, so that claim to that ancestry gets into dispute once in a while, including the same post, you know, uh, that being because of various factors. So 3,300 is one author, uh, late Reverend, I think his name is Lovington Kharkumar. I've forgotten his name. I have it somewhere here, but he had come over with a book of 5,000 plus. So there has to be a kind of so part of the clan bill now, they are introducing a registrar in the bill, in the clan bill of the district council. There'll be a registrar, there'll be a tribunal. So people have to register, the clans would have to register themselves there with their, with a list of all the clan members. So it's going to be interesting. So one number is 3,300, one number is 5,000. You don't have the exact figure.
Last time I was looking at one of the press conferences given by late H.S. Shilla outside the governor's house. He was just saying something, and when he was the CEM of the district council, actually, he had stated the number like 4,000. He said the district council has a number called around 4,000 clans among the Khasi.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. You need, we've tried our initiative to try and do it, but it's not easy. You need a lot of resources to document that. Okay. So this council is trying to sort this out by framing the clan bill, which will facilitate all clans to go and register in one authority.
So based from your experience, can one say that that the clans as it is today, they're still very much alive. They're still, in the traditional senses, very much working the way the clanship system is kind of formulated. But it is starting to dissipate. It's starting to disintegrate. Like people are starting to. What are the kind of evidence that you have seen, Vajan, which is related to the disintegration of clans?
On one hand, I can very well see how the clans, it has a very strong bond. So when you have a bereavement, you will see all those belonging to that same ancestry will converge in that, bereavement home. And you will then find clans which are even more organized. They will even immediately coordinate contributions, as contributions to the bereaved family. So these are going on till now. Similarly, during weddings, the clans are very, very involved there, extremely involved. So, which would mean in so far as the social life is concerned, the clans are extremely active, alive, functioning till today in the social aspect. When you look at the clans, the Khasi clans or the Jaintia, Khasi are the same, Khasi clans. When you, even in the Garos, so when you turn towards political aspect, the administrative aspect, so many generations have passed that the clans have scattered all over the place. They're scattered, by due to economic reasons, academic reasons, migration, normal phenomena globally. So yes, in the olden days, they stuck together in some land, held up together, stayed together. Then slowly, men were more enterprising, would venture all over the place. So the history, the originality of your ancestry, you will always find it among Khasis. You would have a particular kinship. You would have, and then we have blood relations. So that is still being held very sacrosanct. Like for instance, I am a Khasiang and a Kharkungwar. We are not allowed. It's taboo to intermarry. Then we have three clans: Kharsiang, Kharkungwar, and Kharlor. We are related. Some clans, the Majao, they have almost around 7 to 8 clans where they are blood related and not allowed to marry. So these are so when you say whether you're still there, but when I look at the administrative part, somehow there has been a degradation in their thing, because then subsequently the British came. British influence came and British, whatever. And I think the breakup of Hima Shillong caused a serious, in 1853, caused a serious the events leading to the breakup of Hima Shillong, I would imagine, caused a serious dent on the system of the institution, given that there was a coup. It was almost a coup to take over the same ship, leading to even the burning of the Same's, the Yingsan. And the thing was, she was burnt. The whole same family was burnt. Luckily, one or two of them, I think, survived and was saved and were taken to different kingdoms. So these are, I think, we're yet to go on to that history as to how it shook. It must have shook that system at that point of time. So British came in and brought in their own. We don't know if the British were involved in such a thing also. I don't know what happened. We'll have to go to it. It'll be really, really, really interesting to get archives. We can only depend on what the British would have written, but at least it would give us an interesting insight as to how that incident took place. Because Hima Shillong was one of the major kingdom of Hima Shillong, of the Khasi hills, the Khasi states. And you could imagine when an impact of such a nature took place, either the relevance of that clan in the administrative aspect and so on and so forth, it would have shaken the confidence of the clan members themselves. So subsequently, we have not yet gone. You've asked a very interesting question. I'm just trying to imagine that situation of that time, how it would have impacted the clans, given the fact there was such a coup of such a nature, right? And not much document has come out, except for the fact that we know that the kingdom was divided. The clans who were the governing, elders of the cabinet of the chief of the CM got divided. Probably they divided the kingdom in whatever way. In fact, just till years ago, they just sorted out the final boundary between Lajkor, Himamalim and Karim. And there's still some here and there, some areas where of discontent is still there. Then the issue of the faith still continues with Hima Karim, the Shat Pamblang, the Bujai Blang, where the rest of Himamalim is not entitled to take part. So it's a it's a, that could have had a serious impact on the clans, their dependence, their effectiveness, their, confidence level of such an institution, that it could break up.
So is it possible? Is it possible to say, based on your observation, that because Khairem and Himalayam is within this Shillong kind of a reality, and this incident probably would have impacted the clans within this particular area. But outside of Shillong, if you go to all the other areas outside of Shillong, these clans are very much like intact, the way in which we talk about them.
I don't know what to see, which came first, because, again, lack of information. We have 3 kingdoms today: Linyong, Soyong, Maoflang, headed by Lingdo, right? We had a kingdom called Khatsaphra. So here and there, I'm getting bits and pieces. We are yet to, correlate and connect all the dots. So I've not dwelt into that, but I don't know whether, because that disintegrated, that Hima Khatsaphra also is not what it is today. Today it is Hima Noklau. So some tell me that Hima Khatsaphra is a larger context. Who are they? They said Linyong and Maoflang would have been under them, because how could a Lingdo become a chief? That oral history is lost, unfortunately. We can only, try to extract it from, it's a very urgent matter to even extract that information. Because in my own Hima, Maoflang, right, there is some oral story that it was originally 24 clans. So if you say, I think more than 24, which would have involved, so which meant that we were part of some other formation. Same system, but some other formation. We don't know. So there is also a kind of an oral statement among the Khasis. They used to say a lipos aim, that there were 30 aims. Today we have only 16. But of course, Nongpo is the same ship. It's held by us, although downgraded by the British as a Sirdar ship. It was the same ship. Norman Sao, which is that area where it's very, very, had a lot of trouble in the boundary dispute with Assam, which is towards Lampi, West Khasi Hills. So that is also headed by a Siam clan. So these are clans or Siam ships which have either, which are there till today in the nomenclature of Sirdar, but they were originally Siams. So like that, it shows that there were troubles, there were, among the clans that would have led to a split, they would have led to a reformation of the whole system. Because in our kingdom in Maoflang, the earlier chief would have been a Bla. He gave up because he said he couldn't handle it anymore, according to our oral history. He gave it up. Then they said, okay, somebody else should come and take it over among those major clans. Then the Lingdo Maoflang, Lingdo Koma, I think, I don't remember the actual name. They said, okay, to see whether the gods want us to take over, we will plant a sapling. If the sapling survives, it will be a sign that the gods want us to take it over, as suggested by all the other clans. And as history tells us, the sapling survived. And from that sapling became the sacred forest of Maoflang, famous sacred forest. So that's again another long thing, right?
Before we go beyond to this one part, I wanted to ask you, this Sirdarship and Sordarship, Like when you say in Khasi Sirdarship, you're referring to the British Sirdarship,
Right.
and we call these people Sirdars.
Yes, it's an SIR and SOR. So a Sardar is a village head, SOR. A Sirdar is almost like a CM. He has his own kingdom, but is known as Sirdar, SIR. Well, in English, these are Sardarship, same ship, lingdotship, right?
But these
So,
Sirdarship are those that came within the British, and they organized a different system of voting and elections for the
correct,
Sirdarship.
correct.
Correct, no?
There are some, from what I can trace now, with a number of these Sardars who have retired, who have passed away. When the British came, if you found any obstruction, they would have belonged to a larger CM, right? A territory, a more powerful. Say, no, from today onwards, you bow to me, you are my thing, and I'm appointing you as the Sardar. You'll have a democratic process and you'll, get re-elected by the people and so on and so forth. And at times you've had CMs who have had conflict with their own people, which has led the British to intervene and bring in and change the system. Right? So, in fact, I know for a fact now in Hima Khairim, the Raj Shabong, you have Kasau Raj, we call it. Shabong, Rangna, Raj Langkat, and Raj Maushin. These four Raj, they had a war with the CM of Khairim and his representatives for whatever, I think for the tolls, for the taxes, trade, economy, because they were towards the border of Bangladesh. Leading to a signing of an agreement. There's an agreement of 1907, right? And since that incident, they were barred from bringing their offerings to the Shah Pomblang till today. I'm just trying to see if there was a system where they can enter the religious process. Since that incident took place, almost 100 years ago. And so these are things that,
Just one point
within the kingdom.
before we move. Vajan, what is a Raj? How do you define a Raj?
So if I were to explain, it is a three-tier system. So you had the village at the grassroots. You had the village. Above the village, you had a Raj. It's just like a subdivision. If you go by the normal, So a subdivision, in India, you have around, I don't know how many districts. So you have a district, under a district, you have a subdivision. Yeah? So over the district, you have the state. So in the context of the Khasi institution, you have the village, then you have the village, and then you have they call it a Raj, what you would call it a subdivision or a province, which is headed by, again, a clans, Same clan or Lingdok clan or Bangthai clan towards Assam. And then you have over that the Hima. So you have you have the village at the grassroots, you have the Raj, and then you have the Hima. So it's like you have the village, the provinces, and the state at the apex level. So issues that can be dealt with at the village level is dealt with at the village level. If it is not being able to if we're not able to sort out matters here, then we come to the middle level. And if they're not happy with, and assuming they're not happy with this decision of this level, they can also come to the CM's level for final adjudication, right? Today, because of the constitutional mechanism, there's a sixth schedule that you have another body now, which is the District Council Court. So many a times there's been a conflict between the decisions at this level and the District Council level, and then they have to go to the High Court. So this is something which is, very, very important, that
So
this structure.
just one point. So if you say that every village is constituted by clans, there's a founding clan in a village, and in the Raj again constituted by clans. Like who are these clans now?
Originally in the village, it was a clan.
Yes,
Like I said earlier, because of the migration, right?
yes,
Because of migration, so now we find a village not totally of only one clan, right? We have
yeah,
many villages today, many villages whose like in my own village, like Mopen, only a Kharshian can be a village head. They have certain rules and conditions. We who belong to that village, when we get married, we have to move out of the village because they don't allow men to bring other clan women to the village. It's a different story altogether. It's been documented by Dudashan also, this strange system. Similarly, in other things, there's the Marabadiang, there's a Kharkumor, where it's not that they do not allow them, because it's that village. See, why like Mopen will not allow, yes, men from outside come and marry into the clans, into a Kharshian clan there. Recently, I was asking, what would happen if, then the women and everybody decide, no, my husband has to be the, the headman. They vote somebody more popular, somebody more. They said, no. The tradition is entire village land is held by the Kharshian. So that criteria is, if you want to hold office in a village, you would have to be a part of the land. And men marrying into the village do not own the land, because again, the land is in the name of women, right? So women have their own place in the Khasi society, which unfortunately sometimes it is wrongly interpreted to see that in Meghalaya, the women can't take part in the office of Rangbashnong, Saraship, all that issue. So village number of villages is strictly sometimes only a particular clan, but by and large now in many villages where a lot of economic activity, trade has happened, so a lot of migration has happened. So there they don't have that thing. So it's more of a democratic process there. In Hima Sora, you would have to have stayed in that village for not less than, I think if I'm not mistaken, for 7 years. If you are forget about a non-tribal, Khasi coming into Sora kingdom, living there, to aspire to hold office will only be if he has stayed, his residencies has been there for 7 years or more. I know in some kingdoms of Hima Khairim, if he has stayed there for more than, if he owns land, that is the one criteria. So these are interesting aspects. So when you go to the right level, at the right level, it is strictly clan. It's a smaller version of the king's apparatus there. So Raj is also, I would like to clarify, the concept of Raj, the second tier, is more prevalent in Himachal law. I guess because it was a huge kingdom, right? It is there in Himachal, which means today's what we call Khairim and Millim, Khairim state and Millim state. And there is also in Noklau state. And you have them also in Sora state, Sora kingdom. Khadarshno, a very interesting area. There are many Raj, plenty of Raj, about 12 or 14 over there. And they have their own system. And in that Raj, There's only particular clans that can become the Sardar of that Raj. So in, say, it's like in Milium and Khairim, the formerly part of Himachal, the Raj, most of the Raj is headed by a same Raj, or some of them by a Lingdo Raj, and some of them by a Bangthai, right? And Khairim has also now a Sardar Raj. So territorial jurisdiction, again, it's the clans, so that govern the Raj, right? So not much documentation, not much codification has happened at the Raj level, which I'm trying to activate right now, because right now they have only structured the act from the district council, naming the Raj. More focus is on the succession, nomination, election of a chief of that Hima. So the next step of codification is again, for the Raj, the village. Now, if I were to, we've just been another issue. Why the call for inner line permit in Meghalaya, right? I'm explaining this because you're asking what is the structure of the village? What is the structure? What is the Raj? So this, I was just talking to another group who came and met me the other day. The Nongklao Act, the Nongstoin Act, if you go into the district council website, you will find they have a definition about a riot. So when in Khasi terms you say Ukhun Hajar, it means the Khasi citizens. They have further defined riot. There's another definition in section 2 in the definitions. So riot is other community. So they've also defined what's a Adhkar. Adhkar means a non-Khasi, right? That he is someone who's not belonging to the Khasi community. They've also put a definition of Dukho. D-K-O, I think. D-K-H-O or D-K-O. Dukho. Which means Achik community. So this is, in the traditional system, he is considered a Dukho, which is a riot. So riot can be 2-3 categories of communities, right? The general term is given as riot, and you have, so in Nongstoin they have identified a Dukho, which is significant and is indicative that there is Achik community within the Nongstoin Simship. And I find that they are around, out of the 400 villages or so, they are around, I think around 30 villages. So there's been some hue and cry when the GNLA came out with their demand for a Garo land. They drew their own map and drew a large section of Nongstoin, these Garo areas that should fall under the Garo land. So when news reporters came to me and said, I said, well, it's a very simple thing. In the Hima Nongstoin concept, there is no Nokma. But we have the Achiks. They are living peacefully in these areas since decades ago. And they are recognized in the act. It's not that we're not recognizing. But the conflict then arises that when I say that there is also a category of citizens who are designated as riots, meaning they have certain rights, and it means also they don't have certain rights, which again then puts me into conflict with the Citizenship Act of India. On one hand, we have some other provisions which say, yes, some reasonable restrictions. I think it's Article 19 or something of the Constitution of India, which says, yeah, you can always have some reasonable restrictions. These are reasonable restrictions in our traditional system, because I'm trying to protect my own institution. And in my concept, this is the process of identification. So which means there is a two-tier category system of residency and of citizenship within the Khasi system, which is yet to be, figured out in the political process of the country, of the present context of the Constitution of India. These are issues which the instrument of accession would have addressed. These are the issues which the instrument of accession would have addressed. Unlike what the sixth schedule was, we were placed, under the sixth schedule, which had no authority over the issues of citizenship. In Khasi, we say, "Kachinglong nom shong shinong." So the other day I was explaining to the other friends, you have to go back, figure out the codification. So when you do codification, these issues come up, right? Yes, governor has assented to that act. It's an act applicable in the entire non-strain citizenship. So some villages are of a very, it's a free for all. In the sense, among the Khasis, only a Khasi can be elected as a head of the village. Women don't participate. Some in the city now, some in the suburbs. Now a number of women participate in the Dobashino, in the village assembly. Because again, when I go deep into the why, there's a lot of accusation that, okay, this village, this Khasi institution is more male-centric. But I recall, even as a youth, when I was given the job of announcing a Dorbar Shinong, call for the general assembly of the village in my village I grew up, Laimukra, we would say, Lakumno kumno way nakaway ka ye. It is mandatory for one individual to represent their house at the assembly. There's no bar if everybody can come. And in that context, I would imagine that, women, normally the Durbar is held early morning because they want to get it done with and then get on with their work. So early morning, you would imagine, I'm looking at the social aspect, woman is somebody who would be more concerned with her children, busy with her children, probably preparing the food for the day. They would go to the field, prepare all that food. So yes, you the elder, you the male member, you go and sort out that political aspect there while I'm preparing all this, right? So it is not that they were barred. It is probably the social aspect which, made it a natural thing for the male members to go and participate in this kind of a deliberation. And I recall in our Dorbashno of Limkura, there was an occasion where in a Dorbashno, a Dorbardong, these are sub-localities of the village. I recall Mrs. Lina Marbanyang, Kong L. Marbanyang. She was the officer in the education department, retired now. I met her the other day and we were recalling this incident. Where in her sub-locality, there were no more, they had lesser people who were, who that sub-locality considered to be fit to hold a post of secretary. At that point of time, there were a lot of young people who were going outside the state to study. So she said, okay, I'll take up the post till such time you find somebody who is willing to take up this. So she functioned as a secretary of Lumauri for a while. So whenever the need arose, it's not that women are barred, right? Then I recall attending the meeting with the CM of Nobo Sopo, Rangblang. When I sat in his executive committee, there was a lady sitting next to me, and I just took, I thought it was his wife. So I said, very strange, very interesting. And anyway, because he lived a little further away, so it's a market day. So I thought maybe the wife also came back. And so she also sat there. So subsequently, during the introduction, when they started the meeting, they introduced her as a deputy chief. I was quite taken aback. I said, oh, I didn't know that, And I was very happy. And then I inquired, how did it happen that she became the deputy, chief? She said, because a deputy chief is appointed, her nephew is supposed to be the deputy chief, but since he has not attained the age, so like in the royal institutions of the Queen of England, if you have not attained the age, then you appoint a regent. You appoint a regent to run the affairs. So in this case, she was appointed as a deputy chief, since there were no other male, of her clan, Semyong, to hold that office till such time the nephew attains adult age to take over that post. So these are recent incidents where, so there's no hard and fast rule that women are barred. It's just that obviously when men fail, then women will take over, right? So that is somewhat the structure. So at the Raj level, it is the clan. The CM at the apex level, at the state level, at the parliament level of the king, it is the clans. So they interconnected, right? And the village level, yes, they have their own unique customs. Some recently, the district council they have passed that bill called the Village Administration Bill. It went to the Home Ministry, it came back, and the Home Ministry said that now is illegal, right? And a lot of things. And I was not surprised with it, because the word Dorvarshnam, Dobaraj, Dobarhima is not found till today in the Constitution or within the 6th schedule of the Constitution of India. 68 years of existence of the 6th schedule, and probably now we are 69 or 70 years living with the Constitution of India. Our institutions have not yet found place in the Constitution of India, which is causing all kinds of conflicts. And what we've been trying to say is, yes, can you do away with them? Nobody. Everybody says, no, they have to be there. So what I try to say is, if they have to be there, can we synergize the whole system? Can you formalize the whole system to synergize it with the Constitution of India? Without which, then we constantly are in this process of conflict. That is why our forefathers saw what would happen today, the conflicts, and framed up those conditions in whatever capacity they could, in spite of the aggression that took place, the aggressive approach to force the chiefs to sign even the instrument of accession. They finally managed to incorporate conditions where the government of India was supposed to have come back to sort out this thing before the final confirmation of the Constitution of India. But tragically, they confirmed the Constitution of India without having concluded a treaty and agreement which they themselves entered into. So when we talk of boundary, when we talk of citizenship, when we talk of the rights of ABC, you have to restart the whole process back to the first day. You have to go back to find out what was the actual terms of agreement and talk to the actual stakeholders. This is the one. So I think, I don't know if that explains my...
Yeah, but John, we are going we're trying to make short videos.
Okay.
It's going a little bit long. So is it
Okay.
possible we stop here today and then we can carry on again on the
Sure.
concept of land in the when we discuss? Because I think land is a very kind of insight you have about land. Eh? How does this land weaved as a fundamental thing to Khasi society? Protection of land, layers of structures of land, types of land, and then finally, how does it link up to the Hima? You know, so we can do it next time. We can have
Yeah.
we can do it next time again.
Briefly, I can just say land. It's another very long subject. Because my my identity as a Khasi, my kinship, my clanship is all part and parcel of that land, right? We've had as of today, we have the Meghalaya Transfer of Land Regulation Act 1971 notified on 7th of June 1978, and then published in the Gazette on 8th of June 1978. And I was narrating to somebody because they came to take my interview, recalling whatever I can recall of my discussions with my late father, who was instrumental in notifying this act, implementing it in a state which bars non-tribals by land in Meghalaya, also bars the tribals of Meghalaya to sell land to non-tribals. Of course, it does not specifically name which tribe. It has just named the scheduled tribes of the list of Meghalaya entitled to, are entitled to hold land in Meghalaya. So this is also another contentious issue which is coming up shortly. Politics of the state. And then there's another aspect which is relating to the boundary of Assam, between Assam and Meghalaya, a very contentious issue coming up. So some groups have made a public statement saying that, if Mizoram can activate and create so much, urgency in the matter, why can't Meghalaya do the same? To the effect that the government of India has announced that they will try and resolve the Assam Mizoram boundary within March 2021. I think that's again just another political statement because they have the upcoming Assam elections and they wanted to lower the tempo on that aspect. So some of the groups I've seen in the newspapers, in social media, they've demanded from the Meghalaya government to tell the government of India, you must include Meghalaya also into that boundary dispute to resolve it. So the last that I recall was that in 2012, Meghalaya government constituted a committee, and from what I was part of a committee, a subcommittee for compilation of all these papers. And I recall that there are 12 areas of differences that we now have with Assam. They have zeroed in. There are about 12 areas. So these are things which, it's a long story.
Okay. So
The stakeholders
uh-huh.
cannot do it.